afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Alyssa Corum and Ken Shreve here. And Ken, why don't you go ahead and give us a quick rundown of what we're going to be talking about today?
Well, another close near session highs today, Alyssa, with the Nasdaq outperforming again. Chip stocks sat the rally off, but another really strong performance for software stocks.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the NASDAQ here. So we saw another really impressive day of strength here, Ken, after an upside reversal on Thursday. We saw that action following up again today. A nice close here for the NASDAQ, up about 0.8% for the day.
Yeah, it was not looking like a very good open before the open. Chip stocks were really selling off sharply. It was news that the Trump administration was going to, were thinking about blocking shipments of semiconductor stocks to China-based Huawei. But, chip stocks ended up having not such a great day. The Philadelphia Semiconductor Index and the SMH ended with losses of around 2%. NVIDIA, really one of the sole bright spots in the chip sector today. They report earnings next week. That stock at last check was up 5%. So looked like a rough open, but this is a market that's in a confirmed uptrend, and it was acted very well again today.
All right. Well, you can be sure that the conversation about the market's direction will be discussed in more detail in today's big picture, as well as over the weekend in Mike's weekend stock market update. So check those out for more details. But let's take a look at a few individual stocks. Starting off with Amazon, ticker AMZN, had a nice day today, up about 0.9%. Now, this one's been consolidating after a breakout from a cut base. It saw quite a few days in a row of impressive strength here in mid-April, and it's been able to hold those gains since.
Yeah, very impressive action for Amazon post breakout. There's no question there's a very real fundamental story going on at Amazon with big sales growth, and the company is really firing on all cylinders. Wanted to start off with a retail stock because, of course, today we did get a pretty weak reading on April retail sales. I think they were down 16.4%. That was a little bit worse than the 11.2% decline that economists were looking for. But there's just been this talk lately about this disconnect between the stock market and the economy. How is the stock market doing so well when we're getting all this bad economic data? But we've been saying that the market is a forward-looking entity, and it's seeing brighter times ahead for the economy, maybe 6 to 9 months out. So it's not surprising to see this disconnect. It's very counterintuitive. Despite the negative retail sales print earlier today, the XRT, which is a very liquid retail ETF, that was actually up 2% for the day. And you got a lot of retail stocks acting well, like Amazon and many others.
That's right. I mean, e-commerce has seen an acceleration in its boom with the quarantine at the expense of brick and mortar, but we'll definitely keep track of this trend. And another retailer, speaking of, let's take a look at Lululemon. A strong day here, up over 4% to reclaim a buy point this week.
Yeah, I had just one final thought on Amazon too. Jed Graham, who does a lot of feature writing for us, he's got a front page story for IBD Weekly this weekend on Amazon and Walmart and the inroads that both of these companies are making in online grocery shopping, and it's really been a booming business during the coronavirus outbreak. So be sure to check out this big feature on Amazon and Walmart in IBD Weekly this weekend. So, with that said,
Definitely.
yeah. So
Great story there.
Lululemon, another retailer that is performing very, very well here. This is a stock that is actually still in buy range from after a breakout. There you go. Yep. There's a little. That's the there you go. There's the breakout, and you got a relative strength line near new high ground. And other thing about Lulu here is that it has an up-down volume ratio of 1.3 and an accumulation distribution rating of B+. So both of those indicators point toward a stock that is seeing good volume on up days and is under a little bit of accumulation here. So again, maybe a counterintuitive move with a lot of uncertainty in the retail sector about what earnings and sales growth is going to look like, but a lot of retail stocks acting well. Amazon and Lulu's another one worth talking about.
Yeah, that's right. Which shows that it's very important to actually look at what stocks are doing, that price and volume action, rather than just looking at the headlines and assuming that retail is out of favor. You got to look under the surface there a little bit. And
Exactly.
last but not least, let's take a look at UNH. A little bit of a disappointing close here, Ken. Just closing up fractionally, but intraday we did see it crossing over a downward sloping trend line. But I mean, yesterday it had an impressive day and it did tack on a little bit more to those gains today.
Yeah, you're exactly right, though. Kind of a disappointing close for United Health Group. This was a Dow stock, and early in the day, it was a very decisive breakout over a trend line that you just drew so nicely on the daily chart there. And there's still the pivot there of 304 is still in play. We'd add 10 cents, and there's a 304.10 buy point that still could work out here. But
Mhm.
as the stock market strengthened late in the day, we got to close near session highs for the S&P 500, Dow, and Nasdaq. United Health really weakened quite a bit. So not a broken chart by any means. Disappointing close, like we said, but this is definitely one of the leaders in the Dow Jones right now.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it and see if it can cross that 304 level. Maybe it just needs another chance there.
Yeah.
All right, everyone, that's it for today's show and for this week. Thank you so much for joining us. And just a reminder that these conversations are for educational and informational purposes only. So make sure to do your own research. And we hope that we see you on Monday on IBD Live. Can you give us a little bit of a spiel on that, Ken?
Well, we've been talking about how well this market has been acting, and we had this great sign of strength by the S&P 500, but quite a while ago at this point, all the way back on April 2nd, where we got a buy signal from the market, and the Nasdaq followed soon after that. We've been talking about growth stocks that have been acting very, very well. Again, chip stocks very, very weak today, but
Right.
Nvidia jumps to a new high, up almost 5%. That's been a nice winner on leaderboard. So we'll continue to talk about a market that is acting very, very well, and talk about actionable growth stocks that could make investors more money.
Yeah. And if you haven't joined us yet on IBD Live, definitely check it out. And you can do that by going to investors.com/IBD Live. All right, everyone. Thanks again for joining us. And we'll see you right back here on Monday.